insurance. Do it face to face.
Buy to let, thatched, commercial. We're your high street insurance brokers for all types of insurance. Avoid faceless internet firms.
High House Insurance. Do it face to face.
See Neil and the friendly team at High Street Selsey.
High House Insurance. Do it face to face.
Or call Selsey 606 552.
Hello, Mary Kennedy here to welcome you to this week's podcast, which includes Sue Graves, who talks about Cloud9's pantomime, a carol from the Selsey Community Choir, and Nick Jones, who interviews a special seasonal visitor. We have our regular spots from Lyn and Giles, and a special treat is A Christmas Story by Ellis. Not one but two episodes of the Selsey Shopper, and this week's thought for the day comes from the Rector of St Peter's, the Reverend James Wesson. And now to the What's On. The December issue of Selsey Life has details of church services over Christmas, or you could check the notice boards at the various churches. Please spare a thought for all who work in our schools, teachers, governors, support staff and volunteers, as they take a well-earned break. Julie's Kitchen are now delivering meals to vulnerable people and could do with some more volunteers. And now on with the programme, and we start with Sue Graves, who's going to tell us about the Cloud9 pantomime.
This is David Kennedy for Selsey Internet Radio, and I'm here with Sue Graves, who's the director of the Cloud9 company, and we're going to talk today about the pantomime that they're putting on in December. Over to you, Sue.
Thank you very much indeed. Well, as you said, yes, Cloud9 Musical Theatre Group are putting on their 10th pantomime this year. In fact, we did Dick Whittington and his cat 10 years ago. So it's nice to actually bring it back. We've updated it with some modern parts. We've got a very strong cast in it of children and adults, and we've been having a wonderful time rehearsing it actually. It's really good fun to do a show like this. Very light-hearted, lots of music, lots of jokes, and good fun for all the family.
How big is the society?
We do have up to 40 or 50 members, but obviously it depends very much, as it's mainly a children's group, on the time of their schooling, whether they're doing exams, what time of year we do a performance. In fact, we did a pantomime last year in February, and it was a consensus of opinion that we actually all preferred doing it at Christmas. But the trouble with Christmas is that a lot of people do go away, and as we do it in the town hall, we are restricted to when the town hall does shut, because we obviously have to take over the place to put the staging up and all that. We can't keep putting it up and taking it down. So we have a good amount of our members in it, but hopefully the ones that aren't will be able to come and see it.
Yeah. Is it open to all children? Should say youngsters, shouldn't I, rather than children?
Yes, in pantomimes I do try not to have children below 10, because otherwise the little ones do tend to lose their concentration. So what we try and do during the year is do a separate little mini show for what I call the smaller children, which in fact we will be doing next year. And sometimes the teenagers and what I call the very little children, it's very hard to combine them in the same show.
Yeah.
So the answer is, in this one we haven't really got anybody under 10. But it works very well, I have to say.
Good. You had some adults in it as well? How many of those?
Yes, we are trying out a new dame this year. I'm sure many of your listeners might know Les Hilton, who is actually the chairman of SACOS, the local amateur operatic group, and is quite well known around the village. And he's decided to put on his high heels this year, and he's playing the part of Sarah the cook, who is working in Alderman Fitzwarren's kitchen. I don't think she's a very good cook, but we won't tell Les that. So now he's doing tremendously well. Dame is a very difficult part to play. You've got to get the right balance of appealing to the children, but having enough jokes and personality that the adults have the innuendo that goes over the children's heads. So we've had tremendous fun with that.
Oh, good, good.
And we've got a good fairy, Fairy Bow, and her bells, and the bells are a singing group. And we have a queen rat this time, not a king rat, so we've gone for feminism. And it's we have Abby Robinson, who again is very well known around the village, playing Dick. And so we're really proud of this cast. It's coming on ever so well.
Oh, good, good. Well, thank you very much, Sue. Now, what you really should tell us is the dates and times of this. So.
I should do, shouldn't I, actually? Yes, well, Dick Whittington and his amazing cat will be on at Selsey Town Hall in the High Street, Selsey, for 2 days, straight after Christmas, on Friday the 27th and Saturday the 28th. And there'll be a matinee at 2:30 and an evening performance at 7:30 on both days. And the tickets are very reasonable. Children and concessions £4 and adults £6. And if anyone would like a ticket, please call me, Sue, on 01243 602260, and I'll be happy to provide you with the tickets, and we will really look forward to seeing you. But we want lots of noise and shouting.
Okay, thank you very much, Sue.
Thank you, Sue. We look forward to seeing that. If you missed the concert by our newly formed community choir, we hope you will enjoy hearing them sing Away in a Manger. And now Nick Jones talks to a special visitor.
Hello there, this is Nick Jones, Selsey Internet Radio. I'm just on an early morning jog. I've just left the High Street and turned into East Street, and there, standing in the middle of the road, is whom I can only describe as a portly gentleman in a red suit with a white beard looking rather lost. Excuse me, sir, can I help? What are you called?
My name's Nick.
Oh, that's a coincidence. That's my name as well.
Yes, I know.
How do you know?
Well, I know everything. I'm St. Nicholas, but here in England you can call me Father Christmas. I really like that name.
can I help you?
Well, now every year about this time, you see, I fly over to England to check that my list is up to date with children's addresses. All was going well until over at Selsey I noticed an error. And well, to be honest, I'm lost.
Let me help you. Let me look at your list then.
Oh, yes, please. Well, I'd be very grateful.
Oh, look here. I can see what has gone wrong. You need East Beach. This is East Street.
Oh, silly me then. Oh, hold my hand, close your eyes, and count to 2.
Oh, all right then. 1, 2. Oh, gosh. We're standing on the beach in front of houses looking out to sea.
Yes. Yeah, that's the house over there. Now, I see what is wrong. The little boy, who I've been worried about, visits here often, but actually lives in Emsworth. I must return to my workshop and amend my records. Now, hold my hand again, close your eyes, and count to 2, and I will take you back to where we met.
Oh, okay then. 1, 2. Oh, we're back.
Oh, good. Now I must get back to the North Pole. I still have a lot of work to do, but with the help that you've given me, I know that on Christmas Eve, I will be able to deliver all the presents to all the right children in double quick time. Now, close your eyes, again, count to 2, and I will be gone. The sleigh is only in the car park. Have a very Merry Christmas. Ho, 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 ho.
Oh, goodbye, Father Christmas. Oh, 1, 2. Oh, he's gone. Well, I must get home now. So from a rather cold East Street, I wish you all a very, very happy Christmas and a prosperous new year.
Continuing with the Christmassy theme, Lyn has some tips on what to do with all that leftover turkey.
Right, we're back in Tapping Rice with Lyn Ruth, and I think she's going to tell us this week what to do with what's left over from the turkey.
Yes, I'm sure you'd all like to tell me what to do with it, wouldn't you, after Christmas?
Well,
but here we go.
Most of the time, by about 3 or 4 days after Christmas,
Yeah.
I've had enough of turkey.
Yeah, of course, everybody has.
Yeah.
So it's time to ring the changes with it. Don't forget, though, that you can make all sorts of things with turkey, and it's a very healthy meat to eat. All right, it's much healthier than any other meat, so it's very low calorie, low fat. You can make burgers, minced burgers, if you mince your turkey down. You remember the old-fashioned grinders they used to have? They're really handy for this. I've actually still got one. I've got one in the shop on show and one at home.
Yeah.
And I still use it.
Yeah.
And you can mince this meat down and make your burgers out of it. You can make curries, as we're going to talk about curry today. It seems to be the nation's favourite dish these days. So turkey curry, and for my turkey curry I like to throw in parsnips. I like the texture of the parsnips with the turkey.
Yep.
So we're going to call this a turkey and parsnip curry. And you're going to need 2 tablespoons of vegetable oil, right? 2 onions, halved through the root and thinly sliced. Again, I don't like the way that some people put great big lumps of onion in a curry. I don't like that, or in a Chinese food perhaps. I like my onion very finely sliced. 500 grams of parsnips, peeled and cut into chunks.
Why don't you just put the onions through the mincer then?
Well, you could do, but the onions, when you mince them, tend to go all gooey and soggy, don't they? You want some kind of texture in this curry, but you don't want it, They do though, don't they, when you mince them? They go all gooey. 500 grams of parsnips, 5 tablespoons of Madras curry paste. This is a Madras curry, and you buy the curry paste anywhere in jars these days. 400 gram can of chopped tomatoes, 500 grams of boneless cooked turkey cut into chunks. Mind the bones when you're doing this, you don't want anybody choking on this. So about 500 grams is about just over a pound of turkey. Cooked turkey cut into chunks. You want a pot, 150 gram pot of low fat yogurt, natural yogurt, alright? Or you could use coconut milk that you get from any supermarket or shop in a tin, coconut milk. Cooked basmati rice to serve it. Basmati rice is my favourite, I think. You could make this your own and ring the changes with this by putting any vegetables, celery or anything else that you've got left over in the fridge or anywhere else you've got it sitting. You can make it go further if there's not quite enough by stirring in some lentils or some chickpeas or something like that, or frozen peas or leaf spinach, anything like that. You can do anything you like with this curry basically. Chuck anything and everything in it that you've got sitting in your fridge that you think, oh, that'll go in. Heat the oil in a saucepan and fry it gently for 10 minutes until they're softened. And add the onions and fry them gently for about 10 minutes until they're softened and they start to go lightly colour.
Yeah, all right.
Don't let them go black. Add the parsnips and stir it all in well. And to make the curry, stir in the curry paste, then add the tomatoes with a little salt and stir it well.
Mm-hmm.
Add 1.5 canfuls of water and bring to the boil.
When you say 1.5 cans...
Cupfuls.
Okay, all right.
That's the way I've written it. Cupfuls of water and bring it to the boil. Reduce the heat, cover and simmer for 15 to 20 minutes until the parsnips are nicely tender.
Okay.
Alright?
Yeah.
If you get your chickens, your curries, your turkey's already cooked, so stir in the turkey chunks to finish it off. Cover the pan again and simmer for a further 5 minutes until the turkey is heated through. Now, turkey needs to be thoroughly heated through.
Yeah.
So you should be alright with this one because you're going to boil it slightly and turn it down.
Yeah.
Alright? So it's heated up to a certain degree. I think it's 70 degrees it's got to be heated up to.
Yeah.
Remove it from the heat. The curry can now be cooled and frozen for up to 2 months. So you can freeze this. So you don't have to eat it all at once after Christmas. So if you are getting fed up with it, stick it in the freezer.
Well, I don't think I'll be fed up with this curry.
No, I think this curry sounds nice to
I
me.
don't think there's going to be an awful lot left of the turkey.
When you're going to serve it and you're going to reheat it again, if you're going to put it in the freezer, lightly swirl in the yoghurt as a last minute thing.
Yeah.
Alright, so that it swirls over the top, it looks nice in the dish or on the dish, and serve it with your nice basmati rice.
Well, thanks a lot then, Liz.
You're welcome.
Bye bye.
That all sounds mouth-watering. Now Giles has gardening tips for late December.
Well, Giles, we don't want to work too hard over Christmas, do we?
No, we don't. No, we'll bear that in mind with what I have to say.
I might be having 1 or 2 glasses of sherry or something, and
you don't want to kill yourself.
I wouldn't want to put the fork through my throat.
No, you don't want to. You don't want to do any damage to yourself or the garden.
Yeah.
Nice again to this time of year. Look, ivy's in late flower, which is the only thing much that's out now, and of course, ivy flowers provide a very great source of food for any insects that are still around. And the other thing some people still have around now is some very late Michaelmas daisies still just about flowering.
Mm-hmm.
And chestnut trees do look quite nice because they're covered in these what I call really fat gluey buds, which when the sunlight comes out they show up quite nicely in the chestnut trees do.
Right, okay.
And sometimes if you're lucky you'll see a pheasant sitting in one of them.
Yeah.
Because they love sitting in chestnut trees, pheasants, and they'll suddenly fly off with a great squawking, as I'm sure you've heard many times.
I can remember going for a walk with a wonderful old boy down in Essex called Lennox Levitt, and he would actually carry a catapult with him.
Really?
And any pheasant he saw in a tree, it was likely to go in the pot.
Oh well. That wasn't very well. I can't come in on that one. You'd rather go in the pot than go flying away, obviously. Yeah. Well, yeah, I suppose they are nice in the pot, yes, but they're so nice to look at as well, though, aren't they? That's the problem with them. That's the problem.
Yeah.
There are a few little flowers around in the.
But have you noticed how beautiful the male pheasant is?
Oh yeah, and the female
and how
is
drab
very,
the female.
it's very drab, isn't it?
Is that? Do you think why our ladies dress up so well?
I think, well, if you think about it, most of nature, it's the female who's the better looking, isn't it?
Yeah.
In nature.
Yes.
The male, I beg your pardon, the male.
Yeah.
In nature, it's mainly the male.
Yeah.
Whereas in the human species,
the females are quite drab.
The human species
So
is the reverse.
Perhaps that's why they wear makeup, Charles.
Maybe, yeah. I don't think we'll get away with this. We'll be a bit of comeback on this. I think you'll have to face Marjorie a bit later on that one.
Yes, true.
There are a few. I've often seen this time of year, a few scented violets appearing now in the hedgerows,
Yeah.
which is rather nice. And And the wild ones, the scented ones, are really nice. You know, they
are beautiful, aren't they?
Beautiful scent, actually.
And I like the colour.
Oh yeah, they're lovely,
Colour.
lovely to see. They really are. And an interesting little thing about holly trees, which people might or might not know, is that the lower branches of a holly tree are very prickly, as we all know. But if you actually go up to the top of the holly tree, they're not hardly prickly at all.
Really?
And the reason for that being, the reason that nature does this is because the lower ones are prickly, so that no animals or anyone will try and eat them.
Yeah.
But the ones up
Well,
at
that
the
makes
top,
perfectly sense.
it does.
Yeah.
But the ones up at the top, though, are very little prickles on them.
So, okay, yeah, fine, all right.
So that dispels some myths, I think, about holly.
But are there any holly trees in Africa where so the giraffes could get them?
There probably might be. Right, the other thing is a little bit of work, just a little, it's not hard to do, prune apples and pears at them, if you can at the moment.
Okay.
Because it's a good best time to do it, and it encourages strong new growth in the spring. Yeah. And also apply a good slow release fertiliser around the base of fruit trees as well at this time. And also another little job, they're all not too bad. Prune anyone who's got grapevines. Yeah. Prune them now, because otherwise if you wait till the new year, they're dormant at the minute, but once January comes in, you prune them, the sap will rise. Yeah. And then they'll bleed at every cut. You'll do a lot of damage, in other words. Christmas trees, a little tip. I'm not going to go down the road of advising varieties of Christmas trees, would take too long. But all I will say, do always remember, keep them well away from radiators. Yeah. And obviously fires. Yeah. And also, if people have got them in water, which I think is the best way myself, is to have them in buckets of water. Yeah. They can actually use, if it's up to a pint of water a day. Really? If they're a reasonably bigger one, yeah. So therefore it's very important to keep topping the water up a lot. Yeah, okay. And as regarding the Christmas cacti as against the ordinary cacti, never ever, I've done it again myself and made this mistake, never move them at all at this time when they're in flower. Because if you move them even anywhere else, that all the flowers and buds will drop off. They're very delicate things. Yeah. So they must not be moved when they're in flower. Okay. Christmas cacti. And there is another little thing which you were talking about Christmas. After the Christmas party, or after you've had a few drinks, whatever, a slice of slice of toast with honey on it will ease the hangovers. Wait. A slice of toast with some honey. Okay. I'll give that a go then. and the other one is have a rest, take a glass of sherry, as you just said, and take time out and browse through some catalogues and plan the garden for 2014. That's a good thing to do at the minute. Okay. And also, I would like to say, dig the vegetable plot, roll the lawn. No thanks, this is Christmas. Right, I wish everyone, one and all, a relaxing, peaceful and blessed Christmas. Thank you.
Thanks, Giles. Thank you very much.
And a special Christmas story by Ellis Berg.
This is my story for Christmas. The old woman gathered her coat around her hips and settled herself in the back pew. She gazed at the holly and the ivy on the windowsills and at the Christmas crib in the niche in the north wall, and closed her eyes. To rest them, she thought to herself. The midnight service would be sometime starting, and the church was warm. An early worshipper bustled in. A sidesman, who began to sort the hymn books and service sheets. He was followed by another, his wife, who walked round the pews, checking the needles were in place and then lighting the candles on the nave altar. They both glanced at the old woman, discreetly, not wishing to give cause for disturbance. They had had experience of past disruptions of midnight mass and were wary of strangers. "What do you think?" said the man. "Wait a minute," said his wife. The old woman still sat with her eyes closed, her head nodding with a nervous tick. The woman sidesman eased herself across to adjust a kneeler for the old woman. She took a deep breath through her nose. The result was disturbing. "I don't know what she's been drinking, but there's certainly a strange smell. It could be alcohol, you know, like one of those odd Italian drinks." "Better tell the vicar." The two sidesmen stepped up the aisle quietly, avoiding any sounds that could waken the old woman. In the vestry, the vicar was making his preparations. He sighed deeply when he was told of the suspicions of his two workers and their descriptions of the stranger. "Oh no, not again. What is it about midnight mass that seems to attract the drunks? It could, of course, be because it's just after closing time and they all get sentimental about Christmas. Perhaps it would be as well if I were to speak to her. I must say that it'll be very difficult to eject her. She's entitled to be here. But then people are entitled to peace and quiet in their worship of God and during Holy Communion. I'll see what happens when I approach her." The three church people returned down the aisle to the pew where the old woman was seated. This time she was not asleep. On her lap was a plastic bag that held part of a sliced loaf, fresh and neatly arranged on a paper plate. By her side on the seat was a bottle. The strange smell still wafted from her. The vicar thought he recognized it. They were right. It was the smell of that Italian aperitif he'd once tasted and disliked. He combed his memory. Ponte mess. That was it. Point and a half. The stockbroker's drink. The old woman looked at the three of them. Her gaze was steady. Certainly not a drunk. "Would you like to join me? There's not a lot, but you're welcome. I hate eating on my own." The sidesmen looked at each other and then at the vicar. This was going to be difficult. A rowdy drunk you can soon throw out, or at least guide him gently on his way. A quiet tramp who lights up a fag end can be induced to put it out by an appeal to his forgotten respect for the house of God. This situation was not going to be so easy. The three moved away from the pew. "I'm afraid she'll have to go," murmured the vicar. "It's obvious she's no idea where she is, and that smell." They moved back to the old woman. She'd broken one or two of the slices and poured some of the bottle's contents into a teacup. "Please, share this with me, and then I must be on my way. I've a long way to go tonight." She stood up and held out the bread. They noticed her hands. Though old and wrinkled, they were clean, and the nails were short and well tended, and she wore a thin gold ring. Wordlessly, and with increasing wonder, they took the proffered bread and ate it. She offered the teacup. It was chipped and had lost its handle, but it was as clean as her hands. They each took a cautious sip. On the one hand, they didn't want to deprive her of her Christmas cheer, and on the other hand, they were suspicious of the cup's contents. Suspicion was replaced by an unaccountable feeling of guilt. On discovering it was a good wine, better than any of them had ever tasted, the feeling of guilt went away. Unaccountably so, they agreed afterwards. "Must you go?" They all laughed, realizing they'd all spoken together. There was silence. "I must, and I think you will soon know why," said the old woman. "But who are you?" asked the vicar. "Just an old woman who smells a bit," she replied. She'd been walking towards the south door. "Goodbye, and have a wonderful Christmas." She walked slowly down the church path to the lich gate. She paused to exchange Christmas greetings with the first member of the congregation to arrive, who was just visible under the streetlight, which bathed them both in a golden aura. The vicar said, "That smell! I remember now what it is they put in that drink." They looked at him questioningly. "It's myrrh and frankincense." "She was wearing a gold ring as well," said the man. "You're not saying—" "Oh, no, I'm not, certainly not." The vicar looked towards the old woman, but she'd gone. There was a long silence as they were joined by the first member of the congregation. "Hello," he said, "you're all very quiet." He laughed. "My mother would have said you'd been touched by an angel." The vicar and the sidesman glanced at each other. "Well," said the vicar, "what better night could you have for it?" and led the way back into the church.
That was a heartwarming story. Now over to the Selsey Shopper for the best bargains to be had.
Right, we're introducing you now to Pat Reed, who's the Selsey Shopper, who once or twice a month is going to go around the Selsey shops to see what's really worth buying and the things which capture her attention. Pat, what did you find that we should be looking at in our Selsey shops before Christmas?
Well, there's so much actually, because Selsey High Street's looking spectacular at this time of year, and all the shop owners have done themselves proud when it comes to injecting the High Street with festive spirit. So if I leave anyone out, they will probably be mentioned next time, but we can't do all at once. But my first stop was at The Shop. It's actually called The Shop, which is at the north end of High Street. This is a friendly cafe. I hadn't been in there before myself because it's fairly new, and it's described as a drop-in for those who'd like to have a chat or just sit and enjoy a cuppa. The drinks are only £1 in these convivial surroundings, and it also houses an art studio and many fair trade products, which at the moment would make lovely Christmas presents. I would mention that on Wednesday, December the 11th, the shop is holding an afternoon tiffin, they call it, with entertainment between 3 and 5 p.m, and all are invited, but in particular anyone on their own who will benefit from an afternoon out with friendly company and a chat. I mean, there must be a lot of elderly people, especially this time of year, who would like to do that, and they'll actually arrange transport for anyone who can't get there themselves. And you can get this by telephoning 607 887 if you'd like to pop along on December the 11th, and they will arrange transport for you. It's run entirely by volunteers, and seems to me to be just the place for anyone who feels a bit lonely, especially at this time of year. It's open normally from Monday to Friday 9 till 1, and on Saturdays from 10 until 4.
Hang on just a minute, Pat. Do you really say they'll come and fetch you? I suppose that's one way of getting customers.
Well, that's what they told me, and I think that they might be using the Selsey bus.
What, the venture bus?
I think there's another bus, isn't there, in Selsey?
There's several buses.
Well, I think they may be using one of them.
Well, the Selsey shuttle?
Yeah, probably the Selsey shuttle, but I'm not absolutely sure about that. But if they telephone 607 887, they can get that information.
Okay, fine. Now, some people will be listening to this after December the 11th. So, what happens then? I mean, what's going on in the shop?
Well, that number's always available, by the way, for that shop. But really, it's a place where you can go in there and you know you're going to have someone who will strike up a conversation with you. So
you've got someone who can talk to?
Yes, but if you just want to sit there and have a cup of tea, I'm
that's
sure,
okay, right?
Yeah, that's okay. But also, there's lots to see in there because they've got an art gallery and... can
you buy the pictures then?
I would think so, yes.
Okay.
I would hope so, yes.
Well, the last time I went in, then they had prices on the images, so I think they probably can buy it.
Yeah, I'm sure they can. And there's other things in there as well. All fair trade, and they looked very, very nice. They would make very nice presents.
Okay.
We've got a few butchers in Selsey, all of which have windows full of enticing fare all year round, but particularly this time of year. I went to two in the High Street, Seals, which is opposite the old cinema, and Campbell's, which is opposite the Co-op entrance to the car park, the Co-op car park. Both of them have an offer on all year round. Well, it's not an offer, it's something they do all year round, for 10 chicken breasts for under £10.
That's £1 each then?
Yeah, and I can recommend these as I bought them from both butchers, and they're marvellous value, larger than the ones I've seen in most supermarkets, and I freeze them in pairs, and what value for 5 meals for 2 people. Seals are also doing gammon joints which weigh between 1.5 and 1.8 kilos. They're all $4.99 each.
1.8 kilos. I don't do kilos. What about pounds?
Oh God.
They're about £4 each, aren't they?
Well, a kilo is 2.2 pounds, isn't it? So 1.5. Work that out. 1.5 kilos to.
That's 3.5 pounds. Yeah.
Yeah, I think younger people would understand it, but anyway,
I'm not a younger person.
They're $4.99 and they look good.
Okay.
And Campbell's, they're doing, as I think all butchers are in Selsey, but in particular I saw they were doing Christmas packs at £50 or £85 with all the meat and trimmings that most families will need over Christmas. So it makes life a lot easier to buy it all in one go, save time, and for people who are very busy. And obviously the £50 one is slightly smaller, but both of them are well worth having a look at. And if you go in there, there's a list of everything that's in them. I noticed that a few shops in the High Street, I'm not sure how many, but they're giving nectar points with any purchases. Carol's Interiors and Delightful Things Are Us are to name but two. And any shop who's in this scheme will be displaying a large nectar point sticker in the window. So that's worth looking out for. There's so much variety and beautiful gift ideas in Selsey that all your Christmas shopping can be done in Selsey, which actually is such a boost to the local shops.
Hey, what do you think of the Christmas lights?
I think they're absolutely fantastic.
Do you think they're better than Chichester? I think they're better than Chichester.
Well, to be honest, I haven't seen Chichester lit up. But, I mean, they were put to shame a couple of years ago, weren't they, in Chichester?
Yeah, right.
When they didn't have any at all. But the Selsey ones, I think, absolutely fantastic. And all the people that give their time to that is wonderful. If while you're doing all this shopping, you're feeling a little tired and you want to take a break and with a cup of tea or coffee and a scone, I noticed that one or two establishments are doing this for £1.60 for tea or coffee and a scone. I noticed the Riviera are doing that, and also the Penny Lane Cafe. And the Penny Lane Cafe tell me you can have a mince pie and cream with cream instead if you want with your hot drink for the same price. Well, where in Chichester could you beat this? I mean, you wouldn't get a cup of coffee for that, would you?
No, you wouldn't. Pat, thank you so much. Right, we've got Pat Reid again, the Selsey Shopper. What have you found in the Selsey shops this week then, Pat?
Well, I'm slowly working my way through the High Street, but I would like to mention that we have 2 off licences in the High Street, and at this time of year that's quite interesting to people. The long established one is the Selsey off licence, that's what it's called. That's been totally revamped by the present owner. And if you wish to do some wine sampling there before buying, you can pop in and try up to 4 different wines for £1. This will be refunded if you decide to buy. Or you can just drop in to enjoy a glass of wine for just £2, which is absolutely amazing, really. As the establishment is also licensed to serve alcohol. I noticed their company van, which is really eye-catching, with a large logo, Winebulance, which is printed along the side. They'll do home delivery, which works much the same as pizza deliveries. And if you have friends drop in and find you're lacking in the wine department, give them a call, and I'm told they can deliver your wine within the hour. You can call in for their delivery menu and further details. Apparently their Winebulance is on Facebook and is now quite famous throughout the world. You can follow it on Facebook. The other off licence, because both of these have their own individual stamp and are both worth visiting. The other one's the Coffee Republic, which is a newer off licence, and a discount drinks warehouse, which is near Boots the Chemist. Since opening, I noticed they'd made their seating area into a lovely, comfortable coffee lounge where you can enjoy paninis or a sandwich with your drink, whilst taking advantage of their free Wi-Fi and free newspapers while you're enjoying all this. I was particularly impressed with their range of Blossom Hill, Echo Falls and Piat d'Or wines at only £12 for 3 bottles. My own favourite is the Blossom Hill Zinfandel Rosé, which I've not found cheaper anywhere else. You can call in, pick up a leaflet from them with all their other offers, which are most competitive. They do have a licence to serve alcohol on Friday, Saturday and Sunday, so go along and try one of their comfy sofas and while enjoying your particular tipple. I popped into the pet pantry because we mustn't forget our pets who it seems get a stocking also on Christmas morning, if their array of gifts is anything to go by. They stock everything you need for your pets, and the Christmas treats start from £1.49 with many stockings full of treats and toys in the festive display they've got there. I found that one of the most attractive stalls in our high street is the Country Garden Shop opposite Selsey Parade, with their open fruit and veg stall, and they've got a shop next door which presently is stocked with everything you need for Christmas. It's worth just going to have a look, as it will certainly fill you with festive cheer. They just had a delivery of Christmas trees, which was so perfect that I had to feel them to see if they were real. They're British grown, they don't drop their pine needles, which is such a bonus with a real tree. They're priced at £35, £45 and £50 depending on size, and they did look beautiful. Their shop, which is right next door to their fruit and veg stall, is stocked at the moment with beautiful basket hampers, both large and small, and these range from a chocoholic hamper, a booze hamper, or anything else you want. And there's everything you need in this shop to make Christmas perfect. It's definitely worth going to have a look. And one thing I'd like to mention for anyone posting parcels this time of the year, which is at a premium this Christmas, I thought at the parcel shop, which is in One Stop on the Parade near the Riviera restaurant, they're agents for Hermes carriers. You will need, however, a computer and printer to use it. If you go into the Hermes carrier website for a quote, you can easily arrange for the parcel to be picked up at your home, or you can drop it off at One Stop, having already paid for it and labelled it yourself via the website. You can send up to 30 kilograms, and there is a size limit which it mentions on the website. but I find that on average it's half what Royal Mail will charge for a parcel. I've used it several times and my parcels can be tracked and arrive usually within a couple of days. You can find all these details on the Hermes website or call into One Stop. Whilst collecting all this information, I dropped in at Twopenny Rice for one of their delicious scones and a pot of tea. I noticed on the way in that they were doing Christmas puddings for £1 and £1.50, as well as their usual cakes and preserves. You'll be transported into the Victorian era with a tea room packed with Christmas goodies, all with a Victorian theme. It's particularly nice to send a present at the moment with a Selsey with a Selsey label on, which they have on all their preserves and homemade goodies. And multiple buys can be chosen individually and put into one of the baskets which they sell separately. Twopenny Rice is presently offering a Christmas tea which includes sherry trifle, selection of sandwiches, scone with tea and cream and jam, or homemade Christmas cake, or their own Christmas pudding with cream, a hot beverage of your choice, and free glass of sherry or port, and you can bring your own wine, and all that's for $9.99 per person, and that'll start off your Christmas with a treat. Just to remind everyone that Selsey's late night shopping is on the 18th of December, when all the shops will be open from 5 until 8 p.m. This will be another festive extravaganza after the wonderful switching on night on the 30th of November. There'll be a Christmas bazaar at the town hall. Santa's sleigh will be in the high street along with community carol singing. We'll be joined by Spirit FM, who will be giving a live broadcast, and we look forward to seeing as many people as possible there, as Christmas only comes but once a year.
Thank you so much.
And to the Reverend James Wesson for this week's Thought for the Day.
Selsey is full of surprises and contrasts. Just look at the differences between the east and west beaches. One is sheltered, and during good weather at least, it's calm and serene, with the fishing boats bobbing at anchor beneath the reassuring presence of the lifeboat station. The other, with wonderful views over the Solent and the Isle of Wight, often faces the full force of the elements, and it can be a place of dramatic ruggedness. And those surprises and contrasts overflow into every area of the village's life. Two recent incidents, both involving families, one resident, the other on holiday, particularly spring to mind. The first occurred on an autumn Sunday, when a family, consisting of parents and their two young sons, appeared at the 8 o'clock Holy Communion, instead of at their normal regular parish Eucharist at 10. They stood out, not just because they were much younger than the regular punters, but because they were all wearing the blue and white strip of the Selsey Seals Football Club. "What brings you lot here at this unearthly hour?" I asked of them at the end. "Oh, it's the first match of the season, and we're playing AFC Worthing away. We couldn't get to the 10 o'clock this morning." Amazing devotion to worship and to Christ, and wonderful to see the blue and white strip resplendent among the liturgical green of the day. We prayed for the Seals later on at the main Eucharist, and of course those prayers were answered with a 4-0 win. The important point is that the church, worship, call it what you will, came first, a rarity in this day and age. A few days later, it was hot, and I was lurking around the oasis, that beating heart of Bun Leisure, on the West Beach. A car drew up, and inside it was a family, hot, irritable, fraught and squabbling. The journey had been too much. Dad was the first out, and he stretched, breathed deeply, smiled and said, "Come out here, all of you, and smell that sea air." Reluctantly, the family disembarked, scowling and fed up. But then, on feeling the sun and the warm air, and breathing the salty freshness, one by one they broke into grins as they surveyed their caravan next to the beach, saw the sea, and realised that they were a million miles from the oppression of South London. Selsey had worked another kind of magic. So it is not the case that religion is dead, nor is it the case that the good old British seaside holiday is a thing of the past. As these two stories show, church and getting away from it all are central to many families' lives. Neither costs very much, but the dividends are priceless. Money doesn't buy happiness, but faith and family values do. So long may Selsey continue to surprise and delight people, and to provide Christian witness of the very strongest kind.
And finally, thank you for listening, and on behalf of all the team, wishing you a happy and peaceful Christmas.